All right. Hello, everybody. My name is GameCubeDude, and welcome back to the great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let's see. Last we left off, I had finished the second chapter of this game. How many chapters are in this game again? I guess I'm going to find out. Let's see. Episode 3, The Adventure of the Runaway Room. Runaway Room? Well, this ought to be interesting. Ah, an old carriage. The Adventure of the Runaway Room. Oh, so the Runaway Room's a carriage.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself.
Isn't that Holmes's voice?
However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner.
No, I think his voice was a little different.
My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident, "I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude. The beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together."
Okay, another animation. Oh, he's got a hat and cape now.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
Why are the Japanese people British?
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
Pretty.
Where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure.
I thought that kid was about to steal that stuff for a sec.
Students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the center of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
Pretty. I thought he was supposed to go back to Japan. They lied to it. No, they explained that at the end of the second chapter. He's now taking Kazuma's place because Kazuma's no longer in a position to study abroad, shall we put it. Excuse me. 18th of February, 9:21 a.m., British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. What an incredible place. It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress. It looks like, it almost looks like this place is inside Big Ben. Was Big Ben? Did Big Ben exist at this time? I'm gonna assume yes. That sounds like a horrible place to have an office. You're just casually sitting down, doing your office work, then all of a sudden it hits noon. Dwong! Dwong! Could you imagine? Why did I build my office at a clock? There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course. But they've only been built in the few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar. Ears bleeding every noon, for real. Like, apparently those bells can get really, really loud. If you've ever been close to one, you probably know what I'm talking about. But I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. I can't imagine what. What is this place? What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice's office, Naruhodo-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here at this time. If circumstances were different, we were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. Excuse me. But Kazuma can't. Or, I guess it'd be more, but Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity. You know, this is... I want to make a side note. This is one thing I'm looking forward to. They have hinted so much at, like, Kazuma having some kind of mission. So, for a serious reason, he brought Ryunosuke. He risked getting in trouble of bringing a stowaway onto the ship. Now that he's dead, how are they possibly going to explain what his mission was? That's something I'm really looking forward to in this. Houses made out of cardboard sounds about right for Japan in that time period. Did cardboard exist at that time? Well, wood and paper. As envoys to report the news of Kazuma-san's death. Oh, wait, did I not read the previous line? How do I pull up the... Aha, okay, Y to pull up, the text list. So instead we are here in a different capacity, as envoys to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yes. And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done. So, we'd have to return to Japan. Oh. Well, so much for that studying abroad thing. Unless the inspector was able to pull something off. If we want to remain here in Great Britain, I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for the study tour. Yes, it was completed in 1859, and by the way, Big Ben is the name of the bell inside the tower itself. The tower itself is just called the Clock Tower, renamed to Elizabeth Tower in 2012. Huh. Interesting. Will you be streaming on DLive? I've got a different plan for DLive, but it's not going to be enacted for a while, so I still plan to use the account, just not for a while. Excuse me. Yes, which means you need the which means you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer. Which is what I've been studying for. I get the feeling we're really gonna regret losing the guy with the sword later. Yeah, maybe. But at the same time, this ain't nothing new to Ace Attorney fans. How many times has the mentor been taken from us when we think we're not ready? I think we got this. I'm confident, boys. How about you? Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. Just one guy, hmm? So that's the second reason why we're here, to have you officially recognized as a lawyer. It's the only way we'll be able to remain here in London. I hope I'm up to scratch. Alright, so is this gonna be the judge, or... Ah, good morning! Sorry for keeping you. Oh. He is, elegant yet dangerous. That is the vibe I get from this good man. Oh! Excuse me. I trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan? It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. Smooth, Ryunosuke, real smooth. How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Mal Strongheart. I hope I'm saying that name right. Mal Strongheart. Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. Ugh, and I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot.
Come on, Mr. Naruhodo, don't be a mouse!
Oh, it's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Yes, thank you. Excuse me. Okay, I guess we'll talk to him first, but I do kind of want to examine things around in the room. It's probably Mayel. I don't know. So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Oh, help! I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city! Nervousness triggers short-term memory loss in Ryunosuke Naruhodo. That is really bad for a lawyer!
It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh?
We had a wonderful view of some of London's streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost at a loss for words.
I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded. The British Empire in a steady decline since the American Revolutionary War. What year does this game take place again? When does this game take place in between the American Revolutionary War and... Whatever. This is all stuff I can look up later. And I really, really doubt the American Revolution is going to come into play in this game.
Oh, yes! Astounded is the word.
Thanks for saving me there, Susato-san.
And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor.
Dang, nothing like cities today. Everybody's a bitch in cities today. Excuse me. Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming great exhibition we will be hosting here in London. Great exhibition? Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop.
Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be.
Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the centre. London is the centre of the modern world. Even if you do say so yourself. He looks like a golem. I kind of see where you're coming from.
The sun will never set on our great empire.
Just give it a couple hundred years.
Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun.
Well, at least a lot of you are open-minded. I did notice how surprisingly nice that carriage driver was. Lord Chief Justice. I think you were expecting a student of law for this study tour, weren't you?
Absolutely. A Mr. Kazuma Asogi, if my memory serves.
That's right. His face looks like it was literally chiseled. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, again.
The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores.
That's amazing. The news reached him before even we arrived.
My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours.
Oh, thank you.
And you honor this appointment specifically to inform me of the news?
Yes. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person.
They tell me you Japanese are a people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that's true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed.
If you would just hear us out, Lord Strongheart.
What do you have to say, madam?
It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal.
Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo?
This is it then. The moment of truth. Continuing the study tour. The thing is, Lord Strongheart. I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead.
Don't misunderstand me. Britain would...
Excuse me.
Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done.
Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean.
Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country. And that was Mr. Asogi. At least that is what I have been led to understand.
Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man. Don't be intimidated.
Mr. Naruhodo!
I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I going to say? If there's someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's... Actually, there's no one. It's Miss Susato. It's me. I'll just go with this one. It's me. I can do it.
Is that so?
I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but...
No qualifications, you say? And yet you still claim to be a lawyer.
I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. And I had Kazuma to help me, and I was the accused, but glossing over the details... I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learned all about the British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Burya. Or Burya.
The voyage from Japan is 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become qualified as a lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training.
I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Isogi's journey has only just begun. Coming here on this tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes, and you can test you and any test you care to set me. Just one chance, that's all I'm asking for. Please.
31 seconds.
Sorry?
Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo. It was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say.
So he's gonna, I'm guessing, I think I know where this is going. I think he's gonna have him take up a case.
Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer.
Oh, thanks.
So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment.
Huh?
But let me ask you one thing first, sir.
Yes?
You say you intend to do everything Mr. Isogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path?
Well, yes, that's my intention.
I see.
Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden?
Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you.
Really? Excuse me. Test. What is this test we're gonna be? So, what form will the test take exactly?
Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be?
Well, defending people, of course.
Well said. So, let's have you defend someone.
I called it! I called it! Huh?
Your timing is perfect, in fact. There is an app trial about to begin later today.
Oh, great. One day.
No advocate has been appointed for the defense as of yet. So this will be welcome news.
Today? Straight away?
If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler?
Ugh. How do I get myself into these situations? Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it, Lord Strongheart?
Yes, good question. Ah, I remember. It's a murder trial.
Oh boy, our favorite! A murder?
An extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose.
That's easy to say! I guess it'd be more like, that's easy to say.
But I should mention, just in case. If the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sent. Oh, shoot! He will of course be sentenced to capital punishment.
Dang! Like, that was never actually specified in, like, the original trilogy of Ace Attorney games. Like, most... excuse me. Most of the time, we just kind of assume they get life in prison. Here, a murder is, capital punishment. You get the chair. Well, actually, I think it'd be the noose in this time period. Capital punishment? He'll be put to death?
Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception.
Jeez! Now, this game's already darker than the other Ace Attorney games I've played.
Presumably you read that much in your short C-based introduction to British law.
We can't possibly agree to such a test! Yet someone's life is on the line. This is a little too much.
We would be toying with a man's life!
I am the Lord Chief Justice, and I have decided it's acceptable.
But you can't do that, can you?
There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose.
So the defendant may live or die depending on how well I performed in the court? If I lose, he'll be hanged. Jeez! What the... Way to put that pressure on a guy!
Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi.
Either the noose or the guillotine. I think it's the noose. I'm gonna assume it's the noose here.
I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen.
He's testing my resolve.
What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be?
What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? Well, only one way forward. All right then. If I have to give you a decision now, I can't do it. I can't get the words out.
15 seconds. Your decision-making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow.
Huh?
So, it is as I suspected, is it?
Sorry?
You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over.
Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance.
Mr. Naruhodo.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Sato. But what could I do?
It's all right. I understand.
You do?
It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. But resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it.
What are you trying to say, madam?
I think what Mrs. Sato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain. To risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable. And I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day. But for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do this job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice.
Wait, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, was there something else? Hold on one sec. I'm going to turn my fan on real fast. Ah, there we go. It gets hot in this room fast when I'm streaming. Thanks. Thanks, overpowered computer. I love you, but man, you make my room hot. And not in a good way. Well, unless it's wintertime. Anyway, I'm rambling.
It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should be there in time.
But I just said that...
I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him.
So they don't even have, like, a public prosecutor type person in this time period. What?
At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome.
Oh, jeez.
He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down.
Automatically? Well, if he's declared guilty on the spot, and it's like murderers are put to death, then yeah. Okay, there's only one way this can go. Excuse me. But that's awful!
But that is the truth.
Why does it have to be like this?
Please don't expect an answer to every question.
Maybe this was what Cosmo was talking about. Maybe he had a goal of, maybe fixing up the legal system, maybe here, and making sure Japan didn't suffer the same fate. It's just a theory, but I don't know. I feel like I could be onto something there.
The cold, hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you.
I'm really his only hope?
So, what do you say now, madam?
Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart?
You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve.
Oh.
Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves.
Okay, then.
He's gone.
The Old Bailey. Okay.
If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once.
Okay. The Old Bailey. London's highest criminal court with an illustrious past. The Old Bailey. This is where I'm to take my test and prove my worthiness as a lawyer. Wait, are we about to step into a... Oh, crap. Excuse me. Dude, this is... We don't even know what happened. What the... Okay, now this is really the most unprepared I've ever felt for an Ace Attorney court battle. Oh, crap. Let me get a sip of water for this. Oh, yikes. Do you have plans to do the Cuphead DLC? No, not really.
Oh, thank goodness! We're in time! There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins.
I never knew horse-drawn carriages could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose. Excuse me.
Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver. And there's a
Genua? I don't know how to say that. Genia?
And there's a Genia in it for you. It's one of my favorite lines from the Sherlock Holmes stories. And it worked quite perfectly.
I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I'm not sure why you were so pleased. I thought we were going to die. And we'd have to pay gold for the privilege.
Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started.
Yes, I suppose there's that.
Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here. But there's no sign of him at all.
So this is the Old Bailey. Even this room for the defendants to wait is grand.
Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. An oppressive air. It's almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. It feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed.
Yes. Whoever the man you're to defend is, I imagine he's very alone at this moment.
Okay. Top of the morning to you, madam! Sir? You're the one we're defending? Excuse me. What are you doing? Following me here? What kind of voice would work for this guy? Older gentleman, like, what are you doing? Following me here? Things are very desperate, are they? I have no idea. I have no idea what could work for this guy. Sorry? Would you look at those expressionless faces? From the East, are yous? We're from Japan, yes. Ah, Japan, is it? Right, say no more. So, how much do yous need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, nothing to eat, barely a penny to your name. That's aggravating my voice, my throat. And all the while in strange, faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. 'Tis grand, 'tis grand! Let me start by giving yous a thousand Janias, I hope I'm saying that right, by giving you 1,000 Janias. Say nothing now.
1,000 Janias?
Please, Miss Susato, you don't have to shout.
But 1,000 Janias is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo.
What? 'Tis nothing to me at all. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. A rainy day? Dude, you're gonna be weathering a hurricane and a half. I have enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over. Who the hell are you? Could that much rain even fall in one day? Clearly, you've never been to Florida. Well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept a large sum of money. Or, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ah! That hit me in the eye! You dick. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it to you, no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Oh? To be honest, it's a little embarrassing. A trial that's about to begin, you see. It's for me good self here. I'll be in the dock. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Who the hell is this Willy Wonka and the Penguin knockoff? I don't know. Sir, what is your name? Oh, well, the thing is... Don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me. None more. Otherwise, you see... The trial's going to start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it was true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't making it up at all. Or making it all up. My bad.
I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? Blusterin' blazes! Do yous not know who I am? Me? One of London's biggest names? No, sorry. We've only just arrived in the city, you see. I see. I suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park, there in the centre of London, is another beautiful park. Hyde Park. Sorry? A park? What? 'Tis called McGill's Park, full of blossoming flowers in the spring, and singing birds and whatnot. I donated it to the city, so I did. An entire park? In central London? A city of smiles. That's my vision for London. There's nothing Magnus McGild wouldn't do for the city and its queer old people. Queer old people. What? I've never heard the word queer before. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. But now they've the gall to say I'm a good-for-nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. What is the matter with the London police, I ask you?
All right, don't pass out.
Mr. Naruhodo, perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath.
Good idea. Mr. McGilded? The thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students, on a study tour from Japan, you see. So, if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, we'll do our best. What was I after saying? Did you idiot? You daft idiot or idiot? What was I after saying, you daft idiot? I've given you 1,000 Genias. I still don't know if I'm saying that right. I've given you 1,000 Genias to stand up next to me, haven't I? Oh yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Sorry? I know what you're thinking. This chance of a fella claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyer in all of England? Because he did it. That's the only explanation. Well, not at all. Innocent until proven guilty. Except I don't think that concept applies in British law. Not at all. Although it is a little strange, to be honest. Why don't you have a lawyer, I mean? That would be the fault of the Reaper? Sorry? Did he just say Reaper? I, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Barrack van Zeeks. Barrack van Zeeks, I think. He's the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper? When Van Zeeks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? So it's reached the desperate situation where there's no one willing to stand in the defense against the fella at all. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey. Goodness. Lord Barrack von Zeeks. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then. Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth?
The defendant is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way to the courtroom. The trial is about to begin.
His counsel. That would be me.
Oh, it's time. Well then, fella, don't let me down.
But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened.
Until you showed your face here. I made up me mind, so I had.
Sorry?
I decided I'd have to defend myself in there.
How would that have worked?
But then you made an appearance. A student of law. Wouldn't you know? 'Tis no accident, I can assure you of that. 'Tis fate. So don't get cold feet now, please.
The prosecutor lawyer is a German-sounding name. Huh. A Japanese lawyer taking on a German prosecutor. Interesting. I mean, if he is German. I hope he's not German. My German accent sucks. Just like all my other accents. I'm terrible at those. I literally know nothing about the case or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn back on him. Or is that I can't just turn my back on him. Crap. Mr. Naruhodo. The man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes. Something that Kazuma would never have allowed to happen.
Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you will lose right to the stand.
You will lose right to the stand. I'll be right there. Oh, freaking boy. It's happening then. My first trial in a British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. Holy moly. I'm gonna lower my desk. I've actually been standing this whole time. Ooh, cutscene. '18th of February, 10 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Let me get a sip of water. Let's do this. So, oh. I guess we have, I don't think they're a jury. I think they're more likely, witnesses. So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different to the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, what? Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. I know, but I just can't help it. What happened to your hat and cape?
Whoa.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a judge.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsel for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
Fuck. Okay, what kind of voice am I supposed to give this guy?
The prosecution is fully prepared.
That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Huh? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried.
Those eyes please me.
Nippones? What the hell does that mean? All right, I'm gonna look this one up. I'm tired of these big words that I don't know. Nippones. Definition. How does it pronounce?
Nipponese.
Oh, Nipponese. It's Nipponese. Another word for Japanese. Okay. It's literally just a word for Japanese from the looks of it.
Those eyes please me, Nipponese.
Yes, Edgeworth got edgier. Like, we really needed that.
They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation.
He's even got the clairvoyant like Edgeworth. And Von Karma.
They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb.
Ugh! A cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tip of my toes.
Now, Mr. McGilded.
Yes, my lord.
You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner?
As I've always said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to give opportunities to the young.
I'm forgetting what voice I did for him already. Fuck it, I don't know this guy.
Even if the fellow is a student from some little island off in the Far East. It is not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance. Or is it not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance? I'd like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud.
Listen to Mr. McGilded. What a fine gentleman London has. Do you hear him donated £5,000 to the government the other day? Mother, maybe please go play with Mr. McGilded in the park? Okay, so the public likes him. That's something. It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded. That's definitely welcome news. And he certainly has a way with words. This is awkward. I thought this was a video. No, this is live. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. They were that scared of that prosecutor. Sheesh.
Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed?
Oh, so they are a jury. Well, okay then. This just got interesting. Fuck, I gotta do all these voices.
Yes, my lord. If the task is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree.
Ha! Any criminals here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me.
I feel a chill.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson.
Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, these people are...
The jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet.
That's right. I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view.
But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict?
That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses.
Yes. As the trial progresses, oh boy.
Prosecutor Van Zeeks.
My lord.
It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you renounced your fame.
What? Oh, so he happens to decide, I'm gonna go back and throw some more people to the gallows, and we just so happen to get the trial that he's working on. Oh, freaking great!
I am known as the Reaper of Bailey, my lord. My infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity.
So, what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstances of which the court should be aware?
He even bows like Edgeworth. Yikes.
I'll leave that to your imagination, my lord.
So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback?
Don't lose heart, Mr. Nadahodo.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity.
Hello, got a bit curious about this. Well, this is the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles on, I'm playing the Nintendo Switch version. It's very interesting so far. We must be the only ones in here who aren't aware.
The incident took place in the late evening. 3 days passed. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks known in the community as Thrice Fried Mason.
Thrice Fried? Is that a reference how they used to make bricks in the past? I don't know. Sorry? Thrice?
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible.
Ow! Oh. A knife wound to the stomach. Oof. I've heard that's one of the most painful ways to die is a severe injury to the abdomen like that.
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in... The victim's corpse was discovered...
Oh, no, that's Van Zeeks.
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger that has been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death.
I think his name used to be Thrice Fried Mortar. Did they update it? I don't know. That's a slow death. Yeah, it is a slow death. Could be wrong, though. Okay, it probably hasn't changed.
Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard.
Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
Autopsy report. A report prepared by the Scotland Yard coroner, I think. It gives the cause of death as... Oh, I thought it was like, is this just explaining what an autopsy report is? It gives the cause of death as an internal hemorrhaging as a result of a single stab wound to the abdomen. A photograph of the crime scene. A photograph of the victim taken on the omnibus. The knife in his abdomen is clearly visible, but his face is partially obscured from view by an old crooked hat.
And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well.
And these are... Good lord! Is that blood, Counsel?
Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived on the scene.
I've only ever finished the first Ace Attorney game, but I know bits and pieces from some of the other games too. Not much to add to the table though. I'd recommend the first 3 Ace Attorney games. That's Phoenix Wright 1, 2, and 3. They're spectacular. I love them. Doesn't this just explain what an autopsy report is? It says autopsy. Yeah, okay, I messed up reading.
These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested.
What? Mr. McGilded's gloves had blood on them? Ah, crap. Excuse me.
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well.
The defendant's leather gloves have been entered into the court record. The leather gloves the defendant was wearing at the time of the incident. There's a bloodstain on the right glove. On the right glove, okay. How did I get into this? I'm backed into a corner before I've even started!
Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time.
Only 2?
Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded.
Well, rather damning circumstances to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
Is it too late for a plea deal? Or no, wait. What was his voice?
Is it too late for a plea deal?
Why do I keep forgetting what voice I gave him?
Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing.
Mr. McGilded!
To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I am taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it.
Are you claiming to have been asleep?
'Tis the motion of my carriage, my lord Lytton. So it is. And when I opened my eyes again, 'twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I'd never laid eyes on before in my life.
Might think about it since I did enjoy playing Ace Attorney 1. Dissecting the testimonies was usually pretty fun. Yeah, dude. Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, both 2 and 3 are also great. If you like the first one, I guarantee you're going to love the other 2.
Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand.
So the blood got onto the gloves then after the man had been killed.
Unfortunately, That statement of the driver is only the beginning.
What? That's not all of it?
There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed.
Oh dear. Order! Order! Order!
When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage. And there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It is the nail in the coffin for the accused.
I haven't played the entire Ace Attorney series, but I have played most of it. I've played the trilogy. I have played Apollo. Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice are ones I've not played yet. I gotta play those sometime. Probably won't do it on stream, but I'll definitely try and check them out, I think.
Thank you, Counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from the witnesses first of all.
Your wish is my command.
Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once. Okay. More voices to do.
Witnesses, your names and occupations. My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the East End.
Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city.
My name's First. I think Lady First. Lady First. Lady First. Ladies first. Lady First. I, make hats for gents.
Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in an omnibus and witnessed to the aforementioned incident.
I might have to limit this to the original trilogy. What's your favorite AA villain? I can't tell you that. You haven't played the rest of the games, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to spoil anything for you, man.
Is that correct? Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Very well then. Let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please.
Excuse me.
Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Ladies first. Meanwhile, he makes hats for non-ladies. He doesn't even look like he makes good hats. Like, that hat is falling over his head, and it looked like it had stitches all over it. Excuse me.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other sat next to each other inside the bus. Then, out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it. Excuse me.
As soon as I heard the screams, I stopped my bus and I saw it too.
Okay, that was a very solid testimony. Not good.
Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes.
I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, Counsel?
Oh, I've already taken some allergy medication. There's something else that's causing my coughing. I know what it is, but it'll take time to fix, so you might have to put up with coughing GameCubeDude for a little while longer. Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Why not?
Well, excuse me. Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it?
As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes.
Oh, thanks, bruh. Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses have possibly seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen inside of the moving carriage. They have windows, Naruhodo.
How quaint. I've read that civilians in the Eastern Island Nation, civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses?
I've been here for freaking 10 minutes. Get off my back. Huh?
Excuse me. Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you ever traveled in an omnibus?
Well, no. Well, we only arrived in London this morning.
No matter. I've arranged for us to all see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is.
What? What do you mean? The actual scene? How?
A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much.
Yes.
The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building.
You brought a whole ass carriage in here. Wow. Here? What? The entire carriage? Oh dear.
Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus.
You know you're instantly wrong when there's no outrage. Okay, then. They just got a whole ass carriage in the middle of the courtroom. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing.
As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. Four passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best view of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from top of an omnibus.
We can't see our witnesses now.
And should I point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing view from the interior from above the seats, or from the seats above.
Ah, a skylight. Oh, The last penny drops at last, I see. These two gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on the omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight. Ah, that makes perfect sense. Of course, it's a typical double-decker bus. I've never actually been on a double-decker bus, but it looks fun. Too bad they're all in cities.
Well, Counsel, this is a first. In all my years at the bench, I never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom.
There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish. Wow.
Very well. I see no reason why not. The omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
Wow. Okay. I kind of want to examine this thing. The 8-seater omnibus that was the scene of the crime. There were passengers both inside the carriage and on the roof deck that night. I can't believe it! The entire crime scene entered as evidence? As far as I'm aware, this is a first for Ace Attorney.
Yes! Great Britain is simply extraordinary!
I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Let's do that before anything else. Let's just... Alright, let's take a look. What the... The omnibus is called the Phoenix Wright. That is funny. Alright, London 5th Avenue, Baker Street. Okay. There you can see inside the crime, or the blood.
Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we?
Ugh, the scene of a murder. It's horrible. Wow. This is, what's this? Ah, the poster for the great exhibition that's due to start in 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition.
Oh, the Crystal Tower! It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event.
Right, anyway. Blood! That blood that's soaked into the seat. It's the victim's, obviously.
Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck.
Would you really stab someone in full view of other passengers like that, I wonder?
Well, it was after dark, and there was a lamp on here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight.
Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. There's a drawer here. Is there a drawer on the other side? There is not. Let's see. This seat has a handle, it seems. Woo! What do we got? What do we got? Anything of interest? This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running.
Feeding tubes, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems.
There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure.
Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway.
Okay. Okay, so there's a storage compartment in here. Bloodstain in the storage compartment. Alright, so let's get out of here. Who knows, maybe we get people as evidence next. Technically, that is a thing in the second and third Phoenix Wright game. Technically.
Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then.
Alright, now I wonder. Nothing suspicious under the carriage. Alright, well we got a storage room inside. That's the only thing that's catching my eye right now. Alright. That should do for now.
Let us continue with proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel.
Pray don't expect this Nipponese to stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Damn, bro, that echoed! Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus! Okay. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. Alright, let's press. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? What's this? Was this in the first trial? It's been so long since I've actually been in the courtroom. Crap.
Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes, ever so cold. It was freezing, sir. Freezing, in fact.
And you had 4 passengers on board at the time? Is that correct? Anyone else think Animal Crossing is hell of addictive? Well, I never played it, and everybody I know who did play it kind of phased out of it, so probably not.
Yes, that's right, sir. Not at all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course, though, no.
Not noticing anything yet. Is that famous Hollywood actor GCD? Ugh, don't slander me like that. Hollywood actor. I would never step foot in such a wasteland. How you doing, Funky Thor?
And there were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example?
You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none.
I can pursue them.
Excuse me.
If I may, Mr. Fairplay?
What are you focusing on?
Or fossicking?
What are you fossicking for now?
That last statement appeared to have given you a pause for thought.
Not really.
By the way, you always seem to be looking to the side, one way or another. Do you have some affliction?
Not really.
He's not really willing to say anything, it seems.
It's none of your business anyhow.
Okay, jeez. Will you play the Fall Guys Sonic Summer event? Nope, I don't play Fall Guys. Oh, whoops. That was, his testimony. Let me go back. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other on the bus. And you saw them through the skylight in the roof. Or in the roof of the carriage?
That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet.
Not seeing anything yet.
There was a lamp on inside, so I had a pretty good view. The two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded.
How can you be so sure?
Well, how can I put it politely? Mr. McGilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else.
Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded.
Pursuit is only useful when someone has a thought bubble during when you press someone, I think. Really? So I'll actually see where I need to pursue?
There's no room for doubt here.
I thought it might be like Apollo Justice where I'd have to, like, search for the really small detail. No luck so far. Ugh, I really wish there was. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his gut. Excuse me. You actually saw the exact moment it happened.
Didn't I already testify to that? Or our fair, dinkum. Or our fair, dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days?
Anybody want to tell him? Nah. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Excuse me. This is no good. I've really got his backup. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, if that's... My lord!
Juror number 3, what's the meaning of this?
My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Are you allowed to have a knife in a courtroom? I don't think so. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. Huh? There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway.
That is precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it is my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors.
But the trial's barely even started. This is not a good example. What is happening here? Excuse me. Oh, hey, Star. Let me see. Ah, yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts.
With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the six members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. So if those enormous scales fall completely into the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Now I'm even more worried than I was before. Oh, man.
Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
This is a nightmare. They're supposed to be non-biased. Yeah, good luck with that. The problem with juries is that they can often be biased. The sad part is, it's like, it depends on where the case gets filed. Like, depending on from what I've heard, depending on where the case is filed, like, let's say you've got some kind of self-defense case. Let's say you file that in somewhere that's, more blue. You've got a better chance of being convicted for murder. Stuff along those lines. Like, voting patterns can literally decide your outcome in a trial. It's kind of sad. Let's see. That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed. I did. I couldn't help it. He stabbed him, you say? Or, he stabbed him, you say? And you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you?
Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats.
No thinking bubbles.
I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I'd been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around.
Nothing of interest here.
But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly, that huge great knife.
A grim sight indeed.
Ah! That didn't help me at all! Just came here. I assume you've met... Yeah, we met Strongheart.
The jury looks like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before. That appears to have made everyone more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
What the hell could I possibly have? The armband. Okay, this is the autopsy report. Thrice fried Mason male, 54, Brickerman. Cause of death, 15th of February, 10 to 11 p.m. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying in an omnibus. Died to internal hemorrhaging as a result from the trauma.
Mr. First.
Oh, yes, sir.
Is this the knife you saw?
Oh, good grief! Yes, that's it. The very one, sir.
Is that...
Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly, like a stake through the heart.
That is a blade of considerable size, counsel.
It is. And furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with the certain initial. The letter M. which seems oddly familiar.
Please, no!
M for Magnus, perhaps? Or McGilded, possibly? Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
But there are M's everywhere. Like, yes, like in Mason.
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickerman. For a poor brickerman to have owned. No. This weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused. Ugh!
Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel.
Let's take a look. A large knife that was found lodged in the victim's abdomen. Its quality and fancy ornaments suggest it must be quite valuable.
My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption.
Ah, juror number 2. Go on.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman gentleman's word should be,
Sacrosanct? Okay, I think I've heard this word, but I don't remember what it means.
and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct.
Sacrosanct? Was that a C in there? Sacrosanct? I don't know. Big words.
However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Wait! What are you about to do?
Dispose of the rubbish.
Frick! No!
I don't wish to cause to offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime.
I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion. Ah, crap. Not again!
That's 4 of the 6 jury members who've proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
We've had it! Every time I press the witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse!
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark.
I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly.
We mustn't give up hope. We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back.
But... Alright. I'll keep trying. Sacrosanct regarded as too important to be inferred with. Okay, then. I can't give up! I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too.
Hold it!
What exactly did you see? Oh, well, that could be the passenger, sir. But that would be the passenger. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was. What? Oh. If he's... No, wait! No, this photo would have been taken... He just lied! Alright, now we've got something.
And by the passenger, obviously you were referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
And the other passenger had that knife in his hand, like this.
By the other passenger, you're obviously referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded.
And he plunged down like this, stabbing the other passenger into the belly. What?
Order! Order! It is hard to believe one of London's greatest philanthropists, but this is... It is hard to believe of one of London's greatest philanthropists, but this is damning indeed.
The law knows no philanthropist, my lord. Only the innocent and the guilty. Good deeds mean nothing when overshadowed by evil. The truth is everything.
Couldn't agree more, sir. The truth.
I should have been looking at these guys. Alright, so when it happened, the only two people in the enclosed cabin area were the victim and the defendant.
And so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man trying to defend do the deed. Or 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend do the deed.
I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here.
Ah! What am I supposed to think here?
Is Mr. McGilded really innocent? Or could it be? Before we jump to conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witnesses' statements again. A little more carefully this time.
Alright, so the last statement had a lie in it.
Hold it!
Okay. I'm not seeing anything. Nothing here. Sky doesn't look any different. I'm not seeing anything. Okay. Oh, is this new? Nope, it's not. It doesn't... Yeah, he doesn't add that to his statement. Yeah, I know. If that was if that was added to the testimony, I would easily be able to contradict that with evidence. But I guess the game wants me to do something else. Okay, so just hold down B. That's the skip button. Let me check something. Examine. Okay, so we got the M. Can I take it out of its sheath?
That part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, sorry, yes, I just don't really like blades.
Oh,
But you carry a sword.
those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist.
That's not a blade. Or, that's not a blade. That's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, There's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. It looks pretty used condition. I don't know. Ugh. That looks like a lot of blood.
It surely is blood. The victims.
Ugh. An Englishman's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood.
Did you think it wouldn't?
Sorry, it's just that we've only arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust.
Yes, I do understand.
Alright, well, not much I can do here. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. Let's keep trying, I guess. After 10. Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes, ever so cold it was. I'm not seeing anything different with these guys. You had 4 passengers on board at the time. Is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. I'm traveling in the same parts of the bus, so of course. There were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. Quite right, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none. So nobody fled the scene of the crime then. I have to say, the boss insists on running. He does. Huh? I have to say, the boss insists on it running. He does every evening, the last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. What do you mean by that? I think this is new.
Well, what with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again. I just can't believe it, sir. Can't believe it. Murder on my own bus. It's too awful to think about. I haven't been able to shake this cold ever since it happened.
Still nothing. Ah, crap.
My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. Do I take it that you too? As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself.
Ah, dang it.
But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say.
No, please, just keep an open mind.
Gee up now! Silver Blaze, the finish is in sight.
Oh, no!
Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what that man says.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir.
This is too unkind, sir.
Which now means 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Madam Juror number 6. Yes, dear? What can I do for you? You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand. Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know. Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning? Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. The McGilded Park, it's called. A gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life.
He's always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that would stab someone surely.
Mother, may we go to McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is? Huh? What kind of man he is? Or what kind of man is he? The philanthropist, Magnus McGilded, has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Huh? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls. What?
Stone the crows!
McGilded lends money at extortionate. McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a venture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't okay, it's faculties. Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? Ugh! What possible reason could this man have had to make use of public omnibus services? You're not saying that... The victim, a poor brickerman, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Manson was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious!
The brickerman was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded. I don't believe it!
If I might add something briefly.
Mr. Sato?
You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is the evidence to support your claim?
Is that a wine glass? Oh, what the? Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in the court of law. So this guy he's pretty much going to be what Godot was supposed to be. Instead of coffee, it's actually alcohol.
Aha! There it is! Lord Van Zeckles!
Zex. Zeeks? Zex? ZX?
Lord Van Ziek's hallowed chalice!
How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
As judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh,
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. To be honest, I like the way you read Van Ziek's lines. A sophisticated antagonist. Thank you. I try with these voices. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
A marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence.
Catalog of people who had borrowed money from the defendant at a high rate of interest. It includes the victim who owed 20 guineas. Crap.
Ah, yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum.
You got to be kidding me. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry.
oh dear. Do you really think we ought to look inside?
Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder.
I assure you, we will not find Mr. Sholm's name inside.
Well, let's see what we find. Are we actually going to find his name inside?
Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it?
Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen. I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off.
Ah, goodness!
Excuse me. What is it?
Look at this! Do you see the name here?
Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually.
Bruce Fairplay! The witness testifying at this very moment.
Oh, shoot! Oh, okay. All right, then. Oh, yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas. And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. Oh, shoot! All right, this just got interesting.
It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information.
Among the defendants listed debtors is Bruce Fairplay, who have been due to repay his loan imminently. Oh, let's do this. I'm ready now. And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense. And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi. Oh, the modus operandi? I don't remember how to say the second part. That is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel.
Oh no.
Still, maybe it's all for the best.
But wait a minute! Let's think about this a little more before.
I don't stand for nonsense.
What the? Wow. That was it. The last juror's decision.
According to this encyclopedia of British law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here.
Huh. The final verdict. It's over then.
Oh! There's a footnote, though!
A footnote?
However, the defense...
All 6 members of the juries are now in agreement in this case.
Where'd the wine glass go?
Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
Miss Susato, just tell me one thing.
Oh, yes?
You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense. What did it say next?
Oh, yes, of course! One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand
a summation examination of the jurors at this point.
Has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point.
A summation examination?
Objection!
Excuse me.
A summation examination? From which century has that tome you have there been resurrected? Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
Oh.
What even is it, Miss Susato? This so-called summation examination.
Oh, one moment. I'll read all about it.
You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Typical Nipponese.
All right, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand.
He just did an outdated autopsy report, Victorian British style. I guess in a way, I'd say the outdated. I still say nothing has topped the outdated autopsy report. This is just like, oh, we have a right to do this. No, you don't. That right doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, never mind then.
That's pretty much what that was.
It seems that under this procedure, we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury.
To do what exactly?
appeal to them to change their leaning and reserve their decision. Oh, and reverse their decision. And it says here that if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed.
Make them reverse their decisions.
Yes, in times gone by, bystanders would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefits, really. So it rather fell out of use.
Fell out of use, but we still have a right.
I wonder why.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would ever assert his right to try in this day and age.
Still,
It's our only chance.
I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
A summation examination. Our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat? Assert our right. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on Earth.
For now.
We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment. That should remain, summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial.
The defense petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination.
This is madness.
Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Not, there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before.
I don't really hold with all this justifying luck. That seems to have thrown the jurors off.
It seems none of them have experienced this before.
All right then. The summation examination. A defense procedure. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for. To turn this trial around.
So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of the most serious crime. Guilty of this most serious crime.
Excuse me. Okay. I couldn't even read that. The text was so ancient looking.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it had to have been him.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence.
He stuck the chap next to him like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collected all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
You can trust the guild. Fair faces is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years.
The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor, it beggars belief. On the floor. Okay, maybe we can present evidence on this lady. Excuse me. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now.
Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, do they?
Gotta vanish. Take care. May your throat recover as soon as possible. Thank you. And have a good night. I'm certain that juror number 3 has killed someone.
He could have.
Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language.
Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works.
Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetorics about the defendant. You don't even know him! How would that work?
Unfortunately. Once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says.
But then...
They've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more enriched they may become. Or entrenched they may become.
What on earth am I supposed to do?
Oh dear. I'm just chitting what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, citing.
Oh dear. I'm just citing what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then? Ah, jeez.
Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments.
What do you mean?
Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united form, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together.
And that's the way to break them down, you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Ah, man. I think my voice is getting worse the more I go with this.
We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, we then can contrast the statement and pit the corresponding jurors against each other.
I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we'll be looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination.
Oh, yes, I suppose you're right.
Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. All right, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off.
Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm not expecting a clear and concise I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord. Okay. The defense's rebuttal. There was no one else in the carriage at the time, so it had to have been him. I trust the driver. I don't need to. Scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. Okay. Court record. Now, I may not be the most, extravagant, thinker in the world, but that clearly does not look like a floor. People. Huh? What? Oh. Okay, so I can pit, so I pit her, stabbing that poor man on the floor. Okay. Whoops. No, I should have gone back. So we just need to find two jurors with contradictory statements and pit them against each other. Just so much easier said than done! Is that... Oh, I think I get it! Maybe the third juror. He's the only other one that mentioned knife. Is it that perhaps what you were just thinking? How did you know? Well, I took the liberty of doing some research in case you happen to find yourself in just such a situation. Shall I read you what I found out? It's a little long, I'm afraid. Not right now. I think I can do this. If I have to rely on advice from the start. Or, if I have to rely on advice right from the start, how will I get on later? No! I need to work this out for myself now! Is that perhaps what you were just thinking? How did you know? Get out of my head, lady! Well, that sort of attitude is most admirable, Mr. Naruhodo. I know what I have to do. Let's listen to those assertions one more time. Alright. There's no one else inside the carriage at the time. I trust the driver. Excellent. Okay. Well, okay, maybe if I press him. Careful, you almost hurt somebody with that. You're a fine one to talk. What is that sword hanging from your waist? It's sheathed, you moron! No, that's just my battered soul. Well, anyway, I despise anyone with too much money. They're all the same, all stabbing some brickmakers or others behind the scenes. You mark my words.
Objection.
That seems very unlikely, doesn't it? Are you mad, man? We know what sort of shorty is a rotten Shylock. Well, yes, that does seem to be the case, but... Mr. Naruhodo, please be careful what you say! If he's been trying to squeeze money out of us, less fortunate, then as far as I'm concerned, he's as guilty as sin! The man can hang! Can't get the knife out. Come to think of it, didn't one of the other jurors have something to say about the defendant's underhanded activities? Underhanded? If you've thought of something, Mr. Naruhodo, don't let it go. Test your theory. Pick the two jurors whose statements seem to be contradictory against each other. No time like the present. Use X to pit them against each other, or I'll never get anywhere. Okay, well, I've simply typed and collected all the statements thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. You can trust the guild, our motto. Trust the guild, so there's this guy. Trust the driver, it seems 4 passengers. Okay. Okay, so I think the only two I can pit are this guy. X. Let's try it. Well. Oh, I can review each, Okay. Oh, right, this used to be called a closing argument. Huh. There's no one else inside the carriage at the time. I trust the driver. I simply collected. You can trust the guild. We haven't raised our price. Alright, so this is really the only one I can think.
Objection.
Those two statements are completely contradictory.
What? Explain, counsel, post haste!
Oh, dearie me! I was only knitting a jumper for my other half!
What's all this claptrap? What does this contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more... Oh man, I need to refill my water and soon. We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3.
What? Can't you see I'm busy here?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it?
Huh. Want to test me, do you? It was like this. Stuck the fellow next to him, even getting up. Just like the prim banker said.
Yes, that was Miss Fairplay's testimony, quite true.
Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam?
Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed to the floor. The coachman said so.
Now don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor.
Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions.
What? Bless my stitches, what a muddle!
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh! But why? Why the dickens would they lie?
I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience?
Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies.
Oh, we're saved for now.
The scales!
I don't believe it!
Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him, in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on all of us.
Okay, buddy. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this?
Answer me this, darn jinx!
Or dark jinx? What?
Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? What of it if 2 witnesses have slightly different recollection of events?
What of it?
Let's say... Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus. And this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, hmm?
Easy. You just try and find a stab wound on the back. Actually, hold on. Stabbed once. Yeah, stabbed once. All right, there we go. We've got our counter evidence.
Who are you calling dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you!
You shouldn't talk like that in a court of law.
Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you!
Oh, man. This is getting hard to do.
Ugh!
They're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see different moments of the same crime? It's out of the freaking question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
What is it, you dark jinx? Come on, out with it!
Jinx. Wonder if that was an actual slur used in the past. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question.
What? What are you talking about, man? How could you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job? As a foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the two witnesses saw different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof.
Okay. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish.
What?
I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw different moments of the same crime, as proven by the autopsy report. Hang on, guys. I need to fill up my water. I am not going to make it through the rest of this, so I shall be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right. Apologies for that. Got a full glass of water now. Okay. All right, let's present this autopsy report.
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once.
Only once?
This is easier to do, but it's not stopping the coughing. It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. All right. I concede defeat. Oh, dang. I didn't think he'd change his mind so soon.
Oh, well done, Mr. Nadahodo. You did it.
I remember watching your videos when I was in elementary school. Yikes. You're making me feel old. Your videos made me so happy. Glad to see you're still doing well. Thank you for the great content. Thank you for the kind words.
If we can change 2 more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue.
2 more? Actually, there is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions.
Then that's where you must strike next.
So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions.
Exactly. You can do it.
Well, The scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
What else could there be? I'm no lover of the rich, but I despise liars even more. Innocent is my call, for now at least. Okay. I trust the driver. He has excellent memory. It seems 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. No one else inside the carriage at that time. Okay. I've simply collected and collected all the statements made thus far. Draw the logical conclusion. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. Okay. Okay, so there's nothing else I can do with the witnesses who have changed their banners to the white. But what other conflictions are there? We haven't raised prices above 4 pence per year. I guess at this point I just start pressing them, see if I can get them to say a little more. Certainly the testimonies we've heard suggest the victim and Mr. McGilded were alone inside the carriage.
Precisely my point!
But could there be some other explanation? Something we haven't considered yet.
Such as...
Good one, Ryunosuke, good one. Well, perhaps there's something we could, all work out together now?
Now listen here. Maybe you don't know how things work around here because you're from foreign climes. But we're here to form our opinions as individuals. And I have. Ugh.
Oh dear. He doesn't appear to be in the mood to consider alternative points of view, does he?
No, and I'm going to have to pit the jurors against one another, like Susato-san said. Finding contradictions in these 6 people's assertions is the only way I'm going to succeed. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers. But does his ability to recall his taking that night really tell us how trustworthy the man is?
I manage all his lordship's cash affairs, so I'm very particular when it comes to accounts.
I see.
A single penny can mean the difference between life and death after all, can't it?
That's a saying in your country?
My point is, a man who minds his finger is a man you can trust. Those of us in service would swear to that, sir.
Does that bench really need any more polishing?
So if the good driver says that he saw Mr. McGilded in the act, I don't doubt him.
The driver says he saw him in the act? He didn't say that, though.
The only task left to do today is disposing of the rubbish.
Now wait a minute. One of the other jurors mentioned something about money, I think.
Now would be a very good time to listen carefully to the jurors' statements again, Mr. Naruhodo. If you notice an inconsistency in what the 2 different jurors are saying...
I should expose it by pitting them against each other. Yes, let's see if I can do just that. Alright. So let's try pitting the maid. You can trust the guild. Fair fence is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. Let's try it.
Objection.
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other.
They do. Explain yourself, counsel.
Me? Oh dear, what have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze's maiden name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about.
According to the group testimonies we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus that night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Oh! So there must have been 5 people on that carriage. Excuse me. Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence.
That it is. A fair and convenient single price. Just the way London's carriages should be operated.
But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts.
Why, man? Why?
4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication,
It would be 16 pence.
exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact, or precisely 1 person's fare.
One person's fare.
Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about.
Good gracious!
What's up? Not much. Just playing some Ace Attorney, and my throat is killing me.
This can't be right. This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men. One and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword.
The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy.
I beg your pardon?
Did they seriously need to bring an Asian to do 4 times 4? Good one. Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he let nefarious characters ride his omnibus.
All right, then. How do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end, hmm?
Well, according to my book here, you simply launched a ball of fire onto the innocent side of of the set of scales.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. We're all in agreement. Why do you have to go in? Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo! Ah! This is all very irritating.
Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same. Sweet!
For the love of Mike, not you as well!
A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again.
Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty? Or, well, I guess it'd be more. 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty!
We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo! We've won!
No, we haven't. Jury decisions have to be unanimous, I think.
What are you playing at, you dandy fool?
Shut your trap, sir! No one deceives me!
But we had a consensus!
I I said shut your trap! I know a liar when I see one! And if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor blade. Oh, jeez, he's licking it. I'll take this razor sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head! Please tell me he's a barber.
Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scale of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate. And the trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places. And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. So, Lord Van Zakes, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please.
Excuse me. I sound like death. I feel like death in my neck. Okay. Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Zakes.
Is it cold in here, or is it just me? As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honored a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. He just called them all stupid, wow. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Oh, now he's getting serious. Bring forth the witnesses once more. Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Oh, yes, sir. I did, sir.
Of course I heard it.
Oh, yes, sir. I heard it.
You, sir, on the end. The coachman. I believe it's Beppo.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir. My lord, sir.
If it transpires that in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh mio Dio.
Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation explanation.
Various misgivings. Let me get a sip of water. Yeah, I'm fine. That's just, various problems are causing me to cough a whole lot. I can probably get it fixed in time. You might have to deal with coughing me for a couple more weeks, though. But I'll try my best.
I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it. But,
Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
He fiddled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh man, okay, this is getting worse.
oh, yes, he stabbed that man. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Just checking up on you. Well, I appreciate that concern.
Council, Council, make sense of this for me, please.
The phantom 5th passenger, conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend, never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cozenage.
Beppo, explain yourself!
I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster!
The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that! Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty.
You have been dishonest, Coachman.
I'm sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo! A disgrace! And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild!
If I may, sir. I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?!
4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently.
No, that figures. Someone's fired. For real.
Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please.
We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation. We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I hope you intend to continue the parlor games. Or I see you intend to. You saw it. You read it. Absolutely. Various misgivings. I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear to it. Well, I was told I had to pay 5 pence. He fiddled with us on the fare, and then I saw that. I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to press this one by one. Explain this to me. Nick got fired for accidentally using forged evidence, but Von Karma and Edgeworth exist. Yeah, it's it makes no sense to me either. All right, so press.
So there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare? Is that right? Nothing here.
It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay! I was so cold, it was all I could do to stop myself from passing out!
Nothing. I'm getting chillblains. Chillblains? Chillblains? I don't know. Just listening to you.
It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for keeping the bus running. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve extra penny passenger?
Nothing here. You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only I'd been there. If only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night. There would have been another suspect. 5 pence. All right, I'll pay. I'll check it. Ace Attorney 1 judge forces Mai out of the courtroom for causing a scene. Von Karma whips the fuck out of him. Judge, this is fine. Yeah, I don't know. In the anime, they made it like, the judge kind of, like, thought she was pretty, and that's why he allowed it. So, I don't know, maybe Ace Attorney 1 judge is a simp. Excuse me. Does that mean that everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? And I paid 5 pence too, sir.
I just told you that I did.
Nothing here.
A flat fare of 5 pence across the board.
It's not something to be proud of. This so-called discrepancy, my learned friend, the so-called discrepancy my learned friend identifies was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed is gone. It's much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed. It's gone, dead and buried. I'd have been happy if he... Excuse me. I'd have been happy if it had ever existed in the first place. If he's a simp, then that must explain why Edgeworth and Von Karma get to stay after using forged evidence, but Nick gets effed. Yeah, kinda. Alright. Let me find this one last contradiction. And then, I'm probably gonna call it. I'm running out of water again. And my throat is at its limits. The blood-curdling scream. This blood-curdling sight. You mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir.
A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment his life is taken.
Oh, well, not exactly, sir.
Not exactly.
I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed.
Is that not what you...
Good gracious, really?
Are you implying the judge is gay? No, I meant the female Von Karma. We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant.
I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass.
The banker's like giving him a death stare right now. It's like, watch your fucking tongue there, kid. Can I plead the fifth?
Let's see.
That's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood.
Nothing here. Literally every murder in Ace Attorney. Lol, I totally didn't stab the dude. Everyone else. Understandable. Have a great day. Kinda.
Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating.
Yikes, you're pathetic. I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Might as well. So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him.
That's what I said, isn't it?
It was bothering me before, this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering that question. Let's see.
Anyway, there was only the two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there?
There's been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as of yet, zero evidence.
Then what are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty.
Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it is. I saw him stabbing that man. First,
I plead the fifth!
The judge. The fifth what?
Oh crap, that hasn't been written yet.
Something about this testimony? I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing the man. Okay. The victim's photograph of the victim on the omnibus. The knife is... His abdomen is clearly visible, with the face partly obscured. Okay, then let's just press the last statement. Earlier you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you?
No, yes, that's right.
Okay. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding a knife in an ice pick grip.
I suppose. I might have, yes. Put the cart before the horse, maybe?
Put the cart before the horse?
What's this?
What, he told another lie?
Well, I'm quite sure about the most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats of the roof deck.
Oh, I expect that was me, sir.
Then, when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight.
Let me check something real fast. Can he see the skylight from there? What? Oh, well, it looks like it'd be kind of cut off. Gentleman was on the floor, and the knife was sticking up from his midriff.
That's right, yes! And the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes!
So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all?
I really thought I did, but when I go over to get in my head... No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing.
Oh. Hello. Let's pursue this.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. I didn't mean to copy you, Inosuke. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay?
Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Eh?
Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through the skylight, through a skylight on top of an omnibus, that is.
Peeping? A respectable city banker? I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as day. Clear as a
Valorant day.
I remember it as clear as a Valorant day. It was a grim scene. I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me. I was getting a little hot into the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about exactly what you saw. Oh, I can do that all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I'd forget the
Sight of those blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed the man. Blood-soaked hands? Blood-soaked... Is this where the contradiction is? He was wearing well, there's hardly any blood on there. Maybe this will work? Let's try it.
Objection.
Blood-soaked hands?
Well, I admit that soot may be laying a little on the thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar.
What?
Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh, yes, right.
And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-handed glove.
Oh!
He's chewing his cane. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent.
Oh! But no! That can't be right!
So you're the liar here, then?
No!
That's right. You were quite clear about it. You said, "Her." It was both hands.
Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands. It was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused. No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated he saw blood all over both hands. Man trying to break his teeth so he can't lie. For real. Which means there's a strong possibility that the witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court.
Why? Why? I'm a city banker. For pity's sake, my word should be the gold standard. I am a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding member of society, don't
Prevaricate?
Upstanding members of society, don't prevaricate.
He's claiming to have no reason to lie. Is that really the case?
Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay may be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely.
Something to show this man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I have evidence. Excuse me. My lord!
Yes, counsel.
The defense is ready to present evidence.
By Jove, are you sure?
Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had a reason to lie in his testimony.
Ah! Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court.
Among the defendant's list of debtors, Bruce Fairplay, who would have been due to repay his loan immediately. Present.
Take that!
This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion. The point is, among the names of the debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted to financially to the accused? No. Well, it's barely worth being called a debt.
According to the ledger, you owe 20 I keep forgetting how to say this. Guineas? I don't know. Guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Ah! Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, we're the creditor, the defendant here. Therefore, we're the creditor, the defendant here, to have been sentenced to a capital punishment. All outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist!
Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have not seen something you've... Is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant.
Order, order, order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment at the time which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim?
Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony.
All right. Now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch.
A pinch?
But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on Mr. McGildy's hands. Both of them.
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained.
So you keep saying.
I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens.
Seeing what?
The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes, I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What?
What?
It would appear we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
Ugh, that one surprise attacked me.
Ugh. Mr. Nadahodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last.
Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Well, we're gonna have to wait until next time. I cannot keep going. Options. Save. We'll make save. Alright, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. Hopefully next time my throat will be better and I won't have to end it at a spot like this. But as of right now, I really just can't do it anymore. So I'm gonna have to go for now. Hope you guys have yourselves a good weekend, and until next Wednesday for the next Sonic stream. So until then, have a good one.